Sometimes all it takes to love a blaster is how mechanically complex and interesting it is, and those are my favorite, because have you ever taken a look at the inside of a Nerf Vortex Ravonix 360? It's an absolute madhouse. We're talking about a blaster that when you prime it, it indexes a drum, it takes a disc that is located vertically in the drum, moves it all the way up to the barrel, so it goes from vertical to horizontal, and then also primes the blaster. All in the span of like one short pump. It's pretty impressive, and looking at that mechanically, you don't want to mess with it, trust me. But that being said, sometimes things can be ridiculously simple as well, like a Night Finder or a Jolt. Well, this time we've got something that's, well, it's really freaking cool, and I assume it's really mechanically complex because I see a lot of gears and stuff in it, and I'll leave it to you if you want to spoil yourself for opening this thing up and seeing exactly how the blaster works. I'm scared to take mine apart. That being said, welcome to Tag Back, the show where every week we take a look at a blaster from the past and see what it can offer us today in the present, and this time, it is a blaster entirely too big to fit in frame, but it is in fact the Lanard Huntsman 50. And, well, it's too big right now, but we can bust this thing down, actually rather easily. You can just kind of go like that, and we can go, there's a little switch right here, pull that off, and originally there is, in fact, a scope. I don't have that, but this thing is working really interesting. It does some things you might not expect. So the Lanard Huntsman 50 from that weird Huntsman line. It's one of those blasters that a lot of people have seen, but not many people have found. I have seen one of these brand new in like a Kmart for like $40, and I wasn't about to spend that, because as far as I know, these things don't perform all that well. Even though stock, this one performs about what you'd expect for like an elite average blaster. But it's really interesting and cool. It's not exactly the highest quality thing ever, but this works in such a bizarre way. Coming out originally in 2013, and for what I know, this could be one of those 2013 models. However, I do believe in some places this can still be picked up in space year 2019, so keep that in mind if you have your hopes on getting one of these. In fact, I think you can still pick them up on Amazon. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't checked before I started this video. Probably should have done that, and if there is, I will have a link down in the description below, although I gather it probably won't be cheap. But anyway, what makes this blaster interesting? Well, it's a sniper rifle, and kids love that. It's also a very, at least in my opinion, comfortable blaster. Holy balls, this thing fits me like a glove. It's really nice, and it's one of those where you can kind of mix and match little pieces to make it multiple blasters in one, which is just like the, Recon. You could just put a barrel on it. It's a new blaster, and take the barrel off, put the stock on it. It's a new blaster, and then put all of them together, and hey, it's a new blaster! Or use them individually, and you can, well, you've got a barrel and a stock, all good and well. Let's take a look at the stock really quick, because, well, it's massive. It's mostly hollow plastic. It's got a little tiny thing right here that you can attach a sling to. It's got dart storage, the worst kind of dart storage. You have all this space right here. Why not make little pockets that you can put darts into? That probably would have been a lot better. But it's cool, and it makes a thumbhole stock, and thumbhole stocks are always neat. And then you've got the barrel, which is also interesting. Another sling mounting point right here. It's got a release right here that you can use to attach it to the front of the blaster and release it. Mine is slightly damaged right here, probably from being stored in a box and whatnot, but that is fixable, and it just kind of clips onto the front. You gotta kind of put it like that, and then mash forward, and it will go together. There is a scope that also comes with this blaster, unlike things like, say, the Centurion, but I don't have one because they slide right the heck off this rail. So, and as far as I know, this isn't compatible with any other toy, so you'll just have to leave that. And then you've got the core blaster itself, which is bolt action. Very interesting. Kinda really freaking cool. It's got a, normal kind of trigger you would expect, and of course a magazine that you can, in fact, remove. And this is where things start to get a little bit tricky, because if you look at the magazine right here, no dart is going to be coming out of the front of that. Let me demonstrate by putting this dart in there. Unlike every other kind of magazine where it just kind of indexes a dart upwards and then the dart gets pushed into, let's say, the barrel, the breech, and then closes and it fires, this does not do that. You cannot push the dart out of there, and it will hold. I actually don't know how many this will hold. Let's find out. 3. Looks like 6 is the answer to that question. So you got 6 darts in here. in a really interesting setup, and then you don't even have to open up the breech, but I can already kind of show you in there. This thing's full of gears. This thing's full of magic. And even with the bolt in like the close position right here, the actual breech is open, which is interesting. This is of course the magazine release right there, which is a push button. So we can just kind of slip this in there right there. And of course it's not compatible with any other type of magazine. But when I flip that up and pull this back, you can see the spring and like the plunger tube and stuff in there moving. Push that forward, close that down, it makes a very loud noise, indexes a dart up, then you pull the trigger, and it fires. And it does fire at pretty much the elite standard. But that means that this blaster is like pulling a dart out and moving the bit. Like this thing does like, it's really hard to prime, and it does like 17 different things. I mean, think about how that's working. It's got to index a dart up. Then, when you push it forward, it's got seal around the dart. This is not required to go down or anything, but why would you not? And yeah, that's just kind of crazy to think about. That's really mechanically interesting, and that's where this blaster gets kind of cool, besides the fact that it's extremely comfortable and looks absolutely awesome. But that kind of complexity also means that the mod potential of this thing is really, really limited. Seriously, I don't quite know how you're going to get around all this gearing in here, and I'm sure you can kind of see them in there. This will break at some... One of those gears goes out and you're just absolutely sunk, which is a bit of a problem for a blaster like this. It's okay for a stock thing, not good for like a stock sniper rifle, but still pretty darn good. And it has all the attachments, which means it's a relatively cool blaster, but the very, very thin plastic will turn a lot of people off. Like seriously, it's like I said, it's already broken off here at the front like that, and you can kind of see that's not the highest quality thing ever, but just the way this thing functions, this might be one of those things that would be candidate for making like an HPA kind of thing, because like this is just mechanically cool. I have not seen another blaster that works like this. They do sell this blaster also by itself with the stock in the form of like the Commando or something like that. But this setup right here, this is one of those that I think if you find one, especially with all the parts to it, at least the stock and the barrel, is really something you should pay attention to. And I don't know if I can, but I want to get more of these magazines, because I would like to take this blaster up about as high as I can get it, because while it's not the best prime ever, decent stock performance at least. I mean, it's not crazy powerful, but good enough. And with a minor spring upgrade and stuff like that, you may be able to get something out of it. But most importantly, it just works cool, it's comfortable, and I can't think of another blaster that works like this. This magazine system is absolutely amazing to me. It kind of works just... It's weird, man. That's really all I can say about it, and I don't know if you can tell me down in that comment section if people have done mods to these. Like, I honestly barely have seen anything on these blasters, and I know they've been around for quite some time. I kind of wish the trigger was a little more comfortable, but at least there's nothing digging into your hand. And the base blaster right here, if you want to Obrez it, is pretty freaking huge, and that's just interesting. But it's very comfortable, and it's something you really honestly should look out for. I wouldn't pay more than like 15, 20 bucks for one of these things. I don't think they're all that rare. I'm pretty sure they're pretty I'm fairly certain these are pretty obtainable, but it would look, even though it's got this cool tiger stripe pattern already kind of spray painted onto it, I would love to paint one of these up, and like, I don't know, this is one of those where I think it's kind of like a grail blaster for a lot of people, but I don't know how hard they are to get. I'm very thankful I have this one. It was given to me by Jason and Chase, and I thank them profusely for that one, and I do hope that in the future I can do something cool with it and find more of these magazines. Please let me know if there's another way to get some of these magazines. But of course, if you have an experience with the Huntsman 50 down in the comment section below, please let me know. I'd love to hear it. Otherwise, I'm Walcom S7. Thank you very much for watching this video, and of course, I hope to see you in an entirely different one.
You gotta